Welcome to Relational Lives. We're back. Today, Liz has kindly agreed to come on and share her lived experience of adult ADHD, its challenges, strengths, and impact on relationships. If this resonates, please subscribe and share with someone who will benefit.
Welcome, Liz.
Hi.
Thank you so much for coming on to share this with people. We had a very popular episode, didn't we, where we had a psychiatrist come on and talk about ADHD. So I think it'd be great to hear from your lived experience of it.
Yeah, no worries. All good.
Yes, thanks. It's lovely to have you with us.
Thanks for having me.
So, Liz, have you diagnosed ADHD, or is it just that you recognise that you have a lot of ADHD traits? Can you tell us a little bit about your story?
So I would say it's actually through my daughter and my ex-husband who were diagnosed. When I then saw the list of traits, I thought, well, that's me. And I've noticed that menopause exacerbated it. I would say brought it out more, and definitely since going through a separation, the emotional stress seems to have brought it out even more. So I'd say it's more recognizable than people that I've met have said, well, you have ADHD, don't you? And I thought, well, no one's ever said that to me before. It might be just that it's more recognized now. People are more aware of it. Um, so yeah, that's how I came to realize it. But it's whether I go through a diagnosis. I'm not sure if I want to or need to, because I've managed this long with it.
So
Yeah.
you recognise it and you give that label to yourself as an understanding for yourself.
Yeah, I try not to give it as a label, but I definitely recognize it, and
Okay.
it's helped me it's helped me to then go, okay, how am I going to best able to live my life with it? If that makes sense.
Mm.
So yeah, it's helpful for me.
Mm.
It's definitely helpful for me. And I think it will be if I thought, with relationships in the future, be very helpful.
How so?
I think I'll be honest and just say this helps, or I need to do this, or I need to be very honest, and to know that I'm with somebody who is very comfortable with the fact that my moods can be very extreme, or I can react to things hypersensitively, or somebody else might not. That I feel that I can just be very honest.
Mm.
So that might be actually helpful. I mean, you're saying a few things there. I mean, there's a lot in that's going through my head in terms of questions that I might have for you, because you're bringing in menopause, you're bringing in the impact of ADHD around that, and also things that you think for the future with relationships might help.
Yeah,
And you've said some of the things that, you might be able to ask for. And I'm wondering if it would be helpful for people listening to this
yeah.
to give a little bit more detail of what you have noticed in terms of how it shows up for you.
Okay. Shall I give a bit of context? So, because in my childhood, I
Yes.
think this will be recognizable for people. School was complicated because I'm bright. I recognized I was bright. I picked up things very quickly, quick to speak, quick to read, very artistic, confident when it came to sort of performing. But when it came to writing things down, I find it incredibly frustrating. But I would just take the criticisms. Oh, she's just being silly mistakes, stupid mistakes, good ideas. But my essays would just unravel. I could never structure things. Organization, you just laugh about it. You humor, oh, dizzy Lizzie. So I found school frustrating, and I didn't do well in my O
Mm.
levels or my A levels. Um, Procrastination extreme, notes all over the place, never really knowing how to revise. But I got through, and I did a degree which was practical. Then I went to drama school, so it didn't matter. I found a
Mm.
way through. Um, but when I trained to be a teacher, I think that was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life, because my skill as a teacher was my enthusiasm, my energy, my encouragement, and I would drain myself because I just didn't have the confidence that the rest of the things I was being required to do, I was just all over the place. Lesson plans, schemes of work, reporting, all the kind of adult stuff, the sensible stuff. It was just chaotic. And I just
Yeah.
we found it exhausting and stressful. Stressful to the extreme. I have never been so stressed as those first 5 years of teaching. People would probably never have seen it, but I masked it. Oh, and interestingly, it was only 6 months ago that my predecessor, no, the person who takes over from me in the classroom, because I came out of the classroom 3 years ago, she just said, "Well, you're ADHD, aren't you?" And I said, "What?" She said, "Well, when you gave me your notes, there really wasn't much." And I was thinking, "Well, I gave you all my schemes and my lesson plans." She went, "Really? There wasn't very much." And I thought, "Oh, I really, thought I'd given her quite a lot."
Yeah.
So clearly that I find has been the biggest stress. But then what I've done to help myself now in my everyday life, I now teach out of the classroom peripatetically, so I'm more in control of my time. I feel less stressed. Gosh, and menopause, when that hit, I was so stressed. I wasn't sleeping, and I really struggled. And I gave my notice, and I just said I can't do it anymore, and I couldn't
And were
find
you
all that.
aware that it was that combination of
It
your
was
ADHD?
menopause, home stress, and the job. So I came out of the job and just did peripatetic teaching.
Had you recognised the ADHD by that point? Had you?
No,
Oh,
interestingly, no. And I know my head teacher, when she spoke to me, she said, "I've never seen you like this." I was just exhausted from
yeah,
not sleeping and just stressed. And I knew my family needed me more than the job. I had to put my family first.
yeah.
Um, and then when my marriage um, failed, it finished May 24. Then it was a case of sort of just, I was so ultra focused on trying to just keep the ship sailing.
Mm.
But then in the summer of last year, when I sort of allowed a few doors open emotionally, it was literally like a firework display and an unraveling, and just quite extreme.
What do you mean by a firework display? Sort of emotionally
Yeah, yeah.
unraveling.
Unravelling.
Mm.
And from then on, from that summer, which I don't really want to go into more detail on, but it was literally like I'd been told I was moving. I unpacked my house in sort of 24 hours, had it on the front lawn ready, and then they went, "Oh, sorry." And I was just an absolute mess. I'd sort of opened up a few doors and went, let it all out, and
Mm.
just I can't remember being that extreme. And so from that extreme experience in the summer, that's when I went, right, I need to find tools for this, because I have children who were noticing my behavior, and I thought I was
Mm.
keeping it under wraps. And so that's where I've come up with a few key tools, if you want me to share them.
Well, perhaps we can
But you can
come towards that at the
Yeah,
closer to the end, because we like to
yeah,
leave
sure.
our listeners with some ideas and tools for helping themselves if they're also ADHD.
Yeah.
Mhm. I was thinking about when you're looking back now on that little girl that you were, and you
Mm,
were now recognizing that you're ADHD, or you have ADHD, however you prefer to describe it, how that impacted you when you were young, how that not knowing, but going through that, being intelligent, yet not being able to do the structuring and the organization that's required in the school system
yeah.
and afterwards when you're working as well.
Well, I think the words that were used to me and probably to others was a laziness.
Right.
Um, which is frustrating, but I just thought I was. A critical voice, but I'd say that's
Mm.
also learnt behaviour. I think I inherited that critical voice, but very critical. Or, my inner dialogue was, "Oh, idiot, oh, stupid."
Yeah, that's common, isn't
Um,
it?
yeah. Just so good at masking. I mean, I think from the minute I was born, I just adapted. I'm a good adapter, and that's why I became an actor, because this was the thing I was the best at
Mm.
with little effort. I just
Mm.
could do it.
That's so
Another
interesting, isn't it? How it played
So
out
good.
into your professional world as well.
Yeah. Yeah, and I was so good at it. I was so good at living in my world. I think narratives, now I've realized I had constant narratives. Whatever I was doing, I was imagining I was being filmed, or there was a famous person there, or someone there, someone who was interested in me, and I might become famous from it, or I might be just needing. I was just really good. But those fixed narratives, those not fixed narratives, let's just say those narratives from a hypersensitivity could just go into huge reality when there was little fact that it was actually the case. Does that make sense? So I think a lot of the time I was in my head. Um, but I think I was growing up in an environment where I think ADHD would probably be with one of my parents, and there was some strains of autism as well. And it was quite chaotic. So in that chaos, I craved calm and control. So I would say
Mm,
I'm not someone who is excessively messy. Maybe I push things into cupboards, but increasingly now I have to have things tidy and ordered, or I'm so stressed. And
mm,
it was quite chaotic. Creative
So
and
really
fun.
difficult then, the
Fun.
difficult that your environment and in your family life maybe that
Mm.
wasn't sort of being spotted either in terms
I
of
don't
you,
think
because
any of us realised.
if there was their own chaos kind of going
Mm.
on and you were in your kind of chaos and trying to
Yeah,
kind of hold things together.
yeah.
So, and at school, no one really noticing this?
No, nothing.
No.
I mean,
And
I'm
a time there it
54.
wasn't noticed.
No
Yeah.
one, nothing. I was just, I just teachers would make, yeah, silly mistakes, wasn't concentrating, you hadn't listened, out the window, chatting too much. But I just thought that was just normal. Loads of people, that's what we were told off for. And
mm,
girls, masking, I think we know what's good behavior. So we try so hard to, but I
mhm,
just found school frustrating, and I just loved the arts. I was really good at drama, piano, violin. And creative writing, my creative essays were really good because I had an
mm,
active imagination. And
yeah.
uh,
So finding these
mm,
ways in which you could kind of, without realizing necessarily, but finding these ways to channel all that you were feeling and
yeah,
experiencing into some kind of form that felt better for you. Is that right?
yeah, for sure. And I found it very difficult to express my emotions. I wasn't not very good as a family. I don't think we're not very good at vulnerability, so I found it quite difficult to sort of talk about my emotions. None of us are very good at it. I get quite cross at home. I didn't like secondary school particularly. I did
What
it.
about friendships? Did you have friendships in
Yeah, they were
school?
all right at secondary. Sixth form, when I changed school, I changed myself from Elizabeth to Liz. It was new, didn't know anyone. I could reinvent myself. I reinvented myself. I went to a private school then. Everything was different. Everything was different. And I kind of felt like I just
In a
let all the
positive
frost go.
way?
For me, I had the best 2 years.
Mm.
And affectionate people, warm, sort of huggy. I was just like, wow. I was just like, this is
Mm.
so nice. Yeah.
So not
I,
feeling so on your own.
yeah. I just kind of did, up to that point, I sort of did life. Nothing was really bad. Like, I can't say I've had stories of just of an event or something that was bad, but it was just a general wash feeling of, mm,
Yeah, I think you described something that a lot of people with ADHD find is that, like you said, was it Dizzy Lizzy and
yeah,
the
Motormouth
laziness that,
Martin, Dizzy Lizzy, always talking, finishing people's sentences. I still do it. Always go,
yeah,
oh my God, yeah, I'm like that too. And I know people probably go, yeah, okay, it's not about you, but I think I'm bringing more to the conversation.
yeah,
I'm just like, oh my God, yeah, yeah, I'm like that.
yeah.
And
But people
then
take those
worrying.
people
Oh,
take those
amazing.
labels on. When you're a child, you take that on board, don't you? These kind
Mm,
of, like you said, you have the self-critical voice then. Like, oh,
mm,
I'm dizzy, I'm lazy,
yeah,
I can't do this stuff. You
yeah,
take it on.
I
yeah,
heard something in a podcast around that, actually, around somebody. It was a doctor who had worked with girls, particularly with ADHD, Australian, I
yeah,
think he was. I can't remember quite who, but that by the age of something like 12 or 13, that there had been X amount of thousands of of criticisms that they had experienced
yeah,
because of it being so misunderstood.
yeah,
Like you say,
absolutely.
lazy, not getting it done in time, whatever, all these
And laughing at
criticisms.
you, sort of, oh, silly, oh, for goodness sake, you weren't listening. Did you hear? I was But I mean, I feel, I don't want to say I feel a fraud, because I'm not. But I mean, my daughter has it more extreme than me, and I would say it's caused more suffering. I managed with it enough, but those voices, as you just said, those critical, silly, ditzy, I kind of felt like I was just, and my results were
Like you're
really
not
bad.
taken seriously, like you're
Yeah,
not
actually.
seen
And
as
it's only been a
something.
few adult friends who've gone, you're not, you've got an acute mind. A friend recently said I had an acute mind. I could have actually cried.
Oh.
I have never heard anyone ever
Mm.
say that I have an acute intellect. I was like, you are joking. But it's because this friend makes me feel confident and never ever criticizes, never goes, well, I disagree with you. Even if he disagrees, goes, fair point, fair point. I've never had that in my life, ever. So actually, how ironic that, because if you have a friend who makes you feel like you're okay as you are, how interesting, my thoughts are clearer. Whereas before, it was just, oh, you're always on edge, always, it's like the anxious nervousness, living on adrenaline. I mean, I live on adrenaline a lot, but I'm managing it so much better,
Mm.
so much better.
Really
Ugh,
good to hear. And
yeah.
it must feel, like you say, to have that contrast and understanding of how you had felt with all the criticism and what goes inside and how you then believe about yourself and what you're telling, the stories you're telling yourself,
Yeah,
to having an experience where somebody really sees you, and
yeah,
that whole then belief shifting to I am okay.
yeah.
As I am.
I was like, I'm okay. Wow,
Yeah.
it's such a nice feeling. I mean, I didn't want to go to university, and so my A-levels, I thought it wouldn't matter because I wanted to be an actor and I wanted to go to drama school, but I didn't get in at 18, and I was like, what am I going to do? And I was so lucky to get onto a practical course that didn't have any exams and didn't have much written work, because I was like, phew, I'll just do that then. Because I
Yeah.
just didn't think I was ever gonna, I'm not academic, but actually it is important, isn't it? Gosh, that voice that was like, yeah, but you're not clever enough.
hmm
Hmm,
It can really
interesting.
stop people from reaching their potential, can't it? Because
Yeah,
you start to believe it, and it becomes
Yeah.
part of your identity.
Yeah.
yeah,
Very inhibiting.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So in terms of, you were saying, so it sounds like you've found lots of ways that without realizing, you were kind of going into all these areas which were really helpful for you, that you could express yourself
Yeah.
more, that being creative,
Oh,
and
completely.
that sounded like a real help for you along the way.
It was really helpful to use those, to choose those subjects, but to choose those paths. But I would also say there was a saboteur. And looking back
Okay.
now, only recently, I'm like, oh, I sort of sabotaged that, because I did get into drama school, but it didn't sort of work out in the profession as I'd thought. I sort of achieved what I achieved and thought, hey, I've gone to drama school. This is going to happen. I got a scholarship. Wow. And didn't sort of then progress. And I think there is that saboteur. And I think being a teacher was the first time I really learned a work ethic, to pursue something, because I can pick something up and I can drop it and be impulsive. The impulsivity is huge. So I'll do something, and then I was a bit crazy in my last year at drama school, and I did rather destroy what I had. So, and then I went traveling on the end of my 20s, and then again, sort of sabotaged where I was at, and was like, I don't know what I'm doing, and just needed to travel and sort of free fall. And then when I came back, I had major depression. And I went to counselling, and I had psychodynamic counselling for 5 years, and it was intense. I was utterly lost, because for the first time I remember saying to her, I don't know who I am, because I'd masked and I'd pretended,
Yeah.
and I'd been really good at being whoever I was with the people am. I'll adapt to being like them. And I don't know who I am. So that 5 years was an absolute, and during that therapy, I trained to be a teacher.
So
And
this
I
is
did a
still
price.
without realizing that there was a lot of sort of ADHD
And you
stuff
know what?
going on. So
Even my
this is
counsellor didn't mention it.
There's so much more awareness about it
So
now,
much more,
isn't
because
there?
that was
I think,
25 years ago.
yeah, I think back,
yeah.
I've been doing this 20 something years, and I think back and think, oh God, there's loads of clients I've worked with that were probably
Missed it.
neurodiverse, and
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
trying to work with them as though they were neurotypical, and of course,
Yeah.
not going to work, is it?
Yeah. No, absolutely. And it's very interesting. That's when I met my husband at the time, during that therapy, and I don't think I would have pursued. I mean, I think I was being held, I was being looked after in that, in that. But then grounding, the teaching grounded me. I became married, pregnant, mortgage, all those things grounded me, because I think I could easily have just moved on impulsively. Oh, I'm going to do that. Crazy. Because there is that half of you as well. There's the sensitive, nurturing, concerned part of me. And then there's the cheeky, naughty, impulsive effort.
Is that the part of you? Is that the part of you that you feel sabotage things?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I had no
Impulsive.
control over it. And that's, again, something I've recognized just recently. I'm learning to stop, because it's like, it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter. Whoa. And it's such a rush, but it's from an adrenaline. It's from a anxious. It's not from a,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I imagine that for you, you spoke about your daughter, your ex, and so I imagine that, because this can often happen, can't it, as well, for people with recognizing their own neurodiversity, that actually often it's coming through recognizing it in a family member.
Yeah. And their needs were considerable, and therefore I wouldn't even have thought. I thought my counselling in the past was because I was someone who I didn't even think a label. I was just someone who hit a crisis, didn't know who I was, never really knew, was always a bit like that, and just didn't know what that was. Just thought, that's me.
And it's easy, isn't it, to make sense of how we are because of lots of other reasons, isn't it? It's very easy to put it onto trauma or onto, like you say, if there's that you're going through maybe a relationship struggle, it's easy to put it down to other things, isn't it? Especially when there are other people around you, and your children particularly, who have perhaps greater needs seemingly at that time.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely agree. And then I've had that time, obviously, now on my own again, just to, wow, you can turn the lights a bit back on you and like, phew, I need to, yeah.
How do you think that your ADHD has impacted your relationships, whether that be friendships or romantic relationships, sexual relationships?
Yeah, so I was quite promiscuous before I married. Well, I had long-term relationships from sort of 19 to 27, and then I was heartbroken by someone, and then I went on a bit of a crazy time.
Do you see that as related to your
Probably, I'm thinking. I wouldn't have said it was, but I'm just sharing it with it. So
You're just realizing it now.
well, I know. I've realized. I think it's probably related. Um,
To the impulsivity.
yeah, to the impulsivity. I don't know if this is related to ADHD, but I mean, for me, confrontation, speaking one's truth, fear of upsetting or making someone else angry is akin to jumping off a cliff without a parachute, and I can't stress that enough. Like, it's
Right.
crippling.
That
Because
rejection
I'm seemingly
sensitivity.
very confident, and I can be as confident, but if something's wrong, or if, say, someone said something or something's done, it's literally,
Well, there
I
is
can't
that, like you
physicalise it
say,
enough.
Ali, that sensitivity, that there's
Oh,
rejection sensitivity dysphoria, isn't there, that can often be
huge.
aligned with
Oh my
people with
gosh.
a neurodiverse
Yeah, and
ADHD.
that definitely came up in the summer, sort of coming out of a marriage and just a little putting tasters, and anyway, the summer, huge, huge. Oh, goodness me. And I think I probably then was like, gosh, attachment anxiety and this rejection. I just, yeah. So relationships, never used to argue, learned to argue in my marriage, which is healthy, but I was also dealing with someone else with perhaps more considerable mental health issues. But I learnt to, I don't know if this is related to ADHD. We would argue and I'd nag, but I didn't have the confidence to say enough.
Right. Did you say that your ex-husband was ADHD?
Yeah, extreme chronic. And my
Right.
daughter.
And this
And
is why.
that turned into addiction for him. I wouldn't say mine has become. I mean, I have an addictive personality. I've smoked. I like chocolate. I mean, but I don't think it ever was enough to cause me the chronic experience of it.
And that's
Yeah.
a different, is it people's different
That's a different-
experience, isn't it? And
Yeah.
kind of, well, it's also just different, it's like the spectrum of it in a way, isn't
Yeah,
it? And
right.
also
Yeah,
how
exactly.
those, dopamine kind of craving hits
Yeah.
kind of come
Yeah.
out, and they can come out in different ways for different people, can't they?
That dopamine is a word because we'd never talked about it before, had we? These are Alex Partridge. It's helpful on, and I don't go on social media that much, but these sort of helpful women with ADHD, I'm like, goodness me, just yes. And in the summer, I was experiencing a sort of sudden rush, and the dopamine, the dopamine hit of.
Mm. Well, Ali and I think, see it as well in terms of, people that we work with, but also in terms of when we do our couples work, and when you might have one or both people of the partners with ADHD or additional neurodiversity, and it's interesting how that can play out, and understanding, that once people have so much more understanding of what's going on for them, and recognizing, and I wonder if this has happened for you, Liz, that in understanding more about ADHD through family members, through yourself, and understanding more, what, like Ali said, how you feel in a way towards all those years you didn't know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not someone who regrets, and I just can't go. I just don't go there. There is
No, I
I'm
suppose I was
never
meaning
gonna
more
stand
feeling
there.
towards that little girl and
I'm not
towards that
compassionate to
teenager.
little Lizzie. I am
Yeah.
compassionate, and I've had therapy for just over a year now, 14 months, and it's been absolutely instrumental in learning to heal that little girl. Picture her, have her held, because so often, and I have cried. Oh my goodness, because you do. Relationship breakdown. You're a mum, you've got teens, it's just awful, the sobbing, but just being kind, and finding tools to help.
And additionally, like you said, the extra thing of going through perimenopause, menopause, and hormonal changes,
Oh,
and what that can be like.
yeah.
Do you have a sort of understanding for yourself of how you think that part of it, putting that with ADHD, has played out?
What with the menopause?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a couple of years on from, I started peri 45, and then, HRT essential. How did it play out? How did it exacerbate him? It's very difficult to know what is ADHD and what is the menopause.
For sure.
Anxieties is when I knew I was perimenopause, rational anxieties I'd never had before. Um,
It would be interesting, wouldn't it? Because there
yeah.
are studies that are now done on women in perimenopause and menopause and brain scans, and it would be really interesting to know. I'm sure there's some research out there what happens with someone with ADHD and going through the perimenopause, menopause. What you see that's the changes are in the
For
brain
sure.
scans.
Yeah, it's certainly. I think there's stuff out there, isn't there, around how it can really, like you say, exacerbate maybe the experiences of ADHD
Yeah.
with hormones.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to say, right, that is definitely an ADHD thing. I think it
Yeah.
just exacerbated it all. But then I don't know, comparing myself with anyone else, what levels they were also experiencing and whether they have ADHD or not, whatever. But I mean, it's also difficult because then, of course, married from lockdown, a lot of people with neurodiversities, issues in relationships, lockdown was a hugely intense time. That started probably things going particularly wrong in our marriage.
That's a really good point, isn't it? I think,
Yeah.
lots of people have experienced all sorts of things through that
Yeah.
lockdown period. And again, interesting to see how, for families where there is neurodiversity within in the family, and how that was perhaps much, much harder. Not that I'm discounting how hard it was for people anyway, but
No.
maybe an additional thing that people had to deal with, and you
For
obviously
sure.
went through.
And I think everyone was different, because I would say that first lockdown, I was just in heaven, because for me, my ADHD symptoms, it was like the joy. I cannot begin to tell you the joy of knowing I haven't got to, and wake up with I've got to.
That's so
I've got to.
interesting.
It was
Yeah.
hugely healing. But for my ex and my daughter, they were climbing the walls
Yeah.
with themselves.
That's so interesting, isn't it?
So
Yeah. So
it
different
came out
experiences.
differently.
That's
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really important to recognize that, isn't it? How different you can have this two people with ADHD and their experiences can be so different in how that shows up.
No,
But what other
completely.
things? Let's give some people some of your strategies then, Liz, because it sounds
Okay.
like you've found some tools, found some ways that help you. So maybe share
Yeah.
them with our listeners.
Okay.
or-
Yeah.
or
This
me.
is, I really want to help people with these tools because it's something I've found. Firstly, a diary. I have tried to use a diary all my life. Never worked. I start off beautifully neat, nice pen, color coordinate for a few days, and I'm like, and then it will just dissipate, and then weeks will go by not writing anything. Then I'll start again, and that was the pattern. Never followed it. I would agree to something on the phone. Yeah, let's do that. I would double book. I just want to pull my hair out with frustration with myself because I just found that difficult. So I now have to every night diarise what's going to be happening, checking my diary for the next day, and force myself while I'm having my coffee in the morning to look at my diary and tick off and not be obsessed with it being neat and obsessively tidy.
Mm-hmm.
So a
What's made the
diary.
difference? What's made the difference
Oh,
in you being able to do that then? Is it that you've
it's just, I just
scheduled
feel
it?
there's some order, just some, it means that I'm getting things done and not going, oh, I forgot to do that. I was walking past the shop and I knew I was meant to go to InPost and, you know what I mean? It just
Can I
means I've
just
got
check
that list.
though, Liz, how, because you said for years you weren't able to do this.
I
So
just couldn't do it.
what's made the difference in you being able to do it now? Is it the fact that you do it in the evening? It's a sort of a regular thing you check
Yes,
at
I
a
have
certain
to do it
time?
like
Right.
absolutely in the evening
Part of your
and
routine.
putting something in and going, excuse me, I'm going to get my diary. Now making myself, before I go, oh, must check my diary. And I still make mistakes, but I'm so much better. And it was
Brilliant.
my therapist early on when we were doing it who'd said, you know, and I need to write it. I need the diary because I used to put something on my phone and then on a list in one somewhere else. And I could never join. I've still struggled
And do
joining.
you manage to
Really?
keep your diary in the same place, for
Yeah,
instance,
have
and in
to.
the same, because
I have to
I think
literally
people
carry my
again think,
bag
where is
around.
it?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I have to carry. So even when I come upstairs at night, I'll bring my bag with me, which has my diary in and has my pens and has my, just to avoid forgetting. And so diary is an absolute essential. I cannot going to tell you. I've tried so hard, but I'm now really, really disciplined with myself because I know enough times of things go wrong. And I put some things on my phone diary for beeps because I do like a beep. Oh, hello. But if
So
I
sort
can
of
enforce myself,
notifications, having that
yeah,
reminder.
yeah. But I have to use a diary, and I'm just using it more and more now. It's absolutely essential. So that is one big thing. Diary as a mum, as a working mum, essential.
Great.
So that's
Okay.
good. So a list in
Pick
every
one.
entry as well of what I'm going to do that day, you know. And I'm a self-employed teacher, so I have to put in the pupils.
So it's not so much not so much about appointments. It's also things you have to do, tasks that you
Oh
have to
my
do,
gosh. Yes.
and you're marking them off.
Oh yes. I have to tick them
Yeah.
off. I have to check. Oh, move it to the next day
Mhm.
if I haven't done it.
Mhm.
And in the back, some beautiful lists. It might be some of my accounts, or it might be a particularly difficult message that I need to share and I just want to write it out. You know, there are some key things in the back that I use it for, but it's diary, so it's work and personal, everything.
Great.
That's
So
Thank
really
you.
that's real
helpful.
helpful. Uh, when I go through extreme mood swings, this is mixed in with it. So I've just, for the last 5 months, journaling. I used to do it, interestingly, when I had depression, when I was living back with my parents in my early 30s, having that counselling. I would journal every single day. And I've started doing it again. So journaling to get my thoughts out, to dump in the evening, I do it. It's like a stream of consciousness, hopefully to help me sleep better.
So you don't
Um,
necessarily, in a way, like you say, I think that's quite important. I think people use journaling in different ways, don't they? But what I'm hearing for you is that, you know, it's a like that stream of consciousness that you are just writing everything
get it out.
down in your head, and you
Yeah,
put it out onto paper.
yeah. I
Yeah.
really have to do that. And that's really helped me. And I also, and I stress the next thing, gratitude prayers. You do not have to be religious to do this. But what I found is when I'm in the grip of an anxiety or an overwhelm or just helplessness, every morning and evening, trying to focus my brain on it, because my brain will get distracted so easily, but just to say thank you out loud. Thank you for this bed, or just food in the cupboard when things were really bad, but squeezing out a thank you for something just helps regulate me. And as I say, doesn't have to be religious. It just helped me. And then I would go, please, someone, then I could beg out, but I just always would say thank you, because that was really grounding and just helped me.
And I think you've used those words that you're using are so important, aren't they? You've used grounded, you've used regulated. And I've noticed for those people who aren't necessarily, who are listening to this rather than watching it, but I've noticed a number of times you've kind of put your hands on your head, almost kind of holding yourself together.
Yeah. I'm very physicalized in my emotions. Yeah, like I can, and I'm very busy. You'll notice, like, I'm quite fizzy.
Busy, yes.
It's like I chew gum a lot because I think it helps. Just keeps the, and so when there's deep emotion, it's.
So these are three lovely things, aren't they, that you've found? So you're keeping your diary, keeping it at the same time every day. Every time there's something, you've got into this real practice of making sure you attend to your diary, you journal, and you have this really lovely gratitude that you sort of get gratitude prayers almost that you're saying that you're grateful for every day.
Yeah, I think so, because I just found the summer was so discombobulating, and I just needed to. I mean, I talk a lot, thoughts come out a lot, but even like today, I would never have made a few notes. I would have just gone. What I tend to do, it's like a scattergun. There'll be some nuggets, and I'll just go blah, 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 and hopefully. But now it's like, no, try and think about some points.
So really trying to focus yourself much more.
So I find that really hard. I've just always, just gone.
On that note, you kindly did that voice note for us for our AI episode. And you said that you find AI really helpful as well.
Recently. I feel kind of guilty I'm saying this, weirdly, because I'm talking to therapists, and it's like, because I have one. And, it's once a week, but I just found the immediacy in a moment when I was like, because it's so quick and you can speak your words, give a context, and press the button. It just goes, it
summarizes it.
Yeah. And I find that so hard. It's like I had a bit of CBT therapy once in lockdown, and seeing my thoughts put concisely into a table was just lovely. I just don't have that. Never have had that.
AI can do that for you.
And I think it's really interesting the language you use there. I mean, Gabor Mate has written a book, hasn't he, around ADHD called Scattered Minds. And I think that, you use that word scattered, and how that, your use of AI in a way is focusing it again, making all that sort of scatteredness come down into something, and like the CBT, more focused for you.
Yeah.
Which sounds inside really comforting. No, sounds like it's a really sort of reassuring, comforting thing for you.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
Liz, thank you so much for being with us today. I think it's going to be so helpful for people, don't you think, Ali? It's going to, for our listeners, it's going to be really so helpful to hear your experiences, as well as the things that have helped you. And of course, we understand that, sometimes for other people that might not necessarily be the way that they do it, but really giving people something to think about. So thank you. Thank you for taking the time to join us.
It's lovely to talk to you, and I hope it's helpful.
I'm sure it will be.
Yeah. So thank you, everybody, for listening, for watching. And please remember to like, subscribe and follow, and share it with anybody you think this might be helpful for as well. And we'll see you next time.
See you next time.
Thank you.